Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eichenberry in real life, and welcome to my home office. As you can see here, I've got a few things Ultima Online behind me, and been around in this Ultima stuff for quite a while. And the reason I say that is because Shroud of the Avatar, which is Richard Garriott's latest game that he's working on, you know, I just saw the update today, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that really looks a lot like Ultima. As well as I guess it should. But there's one item here which I wanted to mention. And that is a new tier that's added to the Kickstarter campaign that is for the Immortal Adventurer. And now it has something really interesting in here, which someone said to me on another one of my videos. They said, this really looks like pay to win. And so I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm not exactly sure it is or it isn't, but I'll let you be the judge. So, they've added this Immortal Adventurer level for $50. And the first thing that's on the list for it is, well, there's a couple of things in here actually that are kind of neat. That there's this Immortality fruit seed. And this fruit seed, with the farming craft, I love the idea of a farming craft. I don't think we ever had that in Ultima Online. We never had a farming craft or a farming skill or anything like that. There was, if I remember right, there were some types of crops that you could do some stuff with, but I think it was more of going out into other NPC farms and harvesting things from their farms instead of doing so on your own land. And now I don't know whether or not you can farm, if you buy a, you get a house plot, whether you can farm on it or whatnot. I haven't, I tell you, I haven't been able to read everything. There's been a lot of information coming out of there. But I'm just so excited about this. So this Immortality fruit. With the farming craft, you can plant the Immortality fruit seed, which will bear a single fruit. When eaten, this fruit will fully heal you and leave you with a single seed which can be planted and harvested over and over for all eternity. The Immortality fruit seed can be transferred between players. So what we've got here is kind of like a heal with unlimited refills. Except that it's got a time-based component to it, and you have to take that seed and go and plant that again. Now, it doesn't say anything here about whether or not you have to go out into the forest and find a little spot to plant it, and then you got to like remember where you planted it, and you're the only one who can pick it. Or whether or not you're gonna be able to put this in your yard or in a pot in your house. Maybe that's how it's going to be. Maybe it'll be a plant that you can grow in your house. And so with that said, so the complaint was, or the concern was, that this could be seen as pay to win. Well, I think that in all actuality, if we compare it back to UO and how much health pots, how much it costs for a health potion, I guess they had the Greater Heal potion, and but there was also mages who could heal, and I really don't think it has that high of a value, other than it's just one extra little perk, which really won't make the difference in a fight, because so you're fighting and you've got this apple you can eat, or this fruit you can eat, and heal yourself, as opposed to a potion or something, if things are going to be potion based. And in actuality, can it be that potions stack but this fruit doesn't, and it just takes up more inventory space? Or I don't know how how items are going to be handled. Most of the games nowadays compartmentalize things into, you open up your backpack and there's a slot. Actually, it's not even a backpack that you look at it. It's just your inventory. And you got slot, all these different slots, and you have to upgrade your backpack to get more slots. But in Ultima Online, it was much different. There was a weight limit, but there was no item limit. And you would just open up your backpack, and if you dumped everything on top of one another, everything would still be on top of one another. And what we used to do is we used to get bags, and there were different kinds of bags. There was little sacks, and then there was these bigger bags, and you would take and place a couple of those in your backpack. And so I'd put all my reagents in one, and then I would put ore or whatever I was working on in another. Mostly what I did was segregate my reagents, though, for my mage characters. And so it was, I would hope that we'd have some system like that, because that system offered creativity. And you may not think like this is very much, or you may think that the compartments are a little bit more handy, but when you think about it, if you can organize things the way you want to and group them together the way you want to, and everything, it just allows for a lot more creativity. It allows for a lot more choice. And I don't know why a lot of the game companies have gone that way. Maybe it's just so that you can see how many items you can carry or something like that, but they have gone that way. And so, just my 2 cents worth. Now, there's something else that they mention here in the Immortal Adventurer level. And that is another new item. Get your last name early. Ordinary adventurers must reach higher levels to display a last name for their character, but not you. Immortal adventurers will have the right to select and display both first and last name right from the get-go. There's going to be last names? I didn't know that. And so, okay, I have 2 names. So my name is Marky Dragon. And I have considered Dragon to be my last name of my character. And basically, the dragon comes from the Ultima Dragon's internet chapter. And you can Google it, Ultima Dragon's internet chapter. Google it and you'll find them. You can join and be a member, but you got to take a test. At least that's the way it was whenever I joined. I had to take a test and have knowledge of all these different Ultima games in order to have the right to use the last name of Dragon and be represented that way. And so, anyway, I hadn't even thought about that. I was just going to name my character Marky Dragon as just his name, regardless of first name, last name. And so that's quite interesting. And I don't know how they're planning on doing that, but I would guess that in designing how last names would work, that they would have thought of all of us dragons, because we are possibly the largest group, in Ultima Online. And I don't know how many members there are, but I'd suspect that there's at least a couple thousand. And this is old school stuff. I mean, this is old school. This is one of the ways we identified ourselves before there was things like guilds and everything. So anyway, so it's just really interesting. They have some other stuff here that they've added. They've added a special emote, and a new tier will include each own unique teachable emote. I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean that if I do it in front of someone else, that they're able to then do it? I don't know. And then on the $60 tier, they've added a special tunic that, displaying unique symbiology, identifying you as an early founder of the game, some starter weapons, a combat pet, and yes, people, did you see that they've got the pet system? But not only that, I think that, is it at 1.3 million? If we reach that, they'll have taming, or we will have taming. Taming is one of the very interesting skills which can definitely be used for fighting. And we used to go out and wait on a house to fall, and we would be there hidden. And as soon as the house would fall, and everybody's trying to pick up the stuff so that people can rush in and claim that housing spot, we would open up a gate, and our buddies would come through with their dragons and wipe everybody out. And dragons could be kind of hard to control. It wasn't so much that you could say, "Dragon, attack this other player," especially when you were in Trammel. But what you could do was to come through with the dragons, and everybody else that's on your team knows that as soon as they see the dragons, they should use their hiding skill. And we would hide, and then the owner of the dragons would release the dragons as they hid themselves. And the dragons would go terrorizing everybody that was there, because they didn't know what was happening. They weren't in on it. And, so most of the people would scatter and be able to get away, but some would die to them. And it was really funny because the dragons, would appear and everybody would scatter. And then the dragons are off going out wherever after the other players. And we're like, free loot! We'd go pick up all the stuff and place our house. It was really great. And, the more and more I look at this update, the more and more, like I said earlier, it's looking like Ultima Online. And I have to say that that to me, it's perfect, really. It's not a thing of them trying to rip off other games, the previous Ultimas or anything. It's shaping up to keep in line with the legend and lore of Ultima without being called Ultima. And to me, that's perfect. Take the best things from the previous games and let's incorporate them into the new game. And there's just so many things here that they've added, and including, I mentioned before in a previous video that I was gifted the $500 tier, not from the game company, but from someone outside of there. And so I'll have some other things that I get, like a rent-free vendor, as well as the rent-free house. And so I'm really, really excited about that because I plan on doing a lot with my vendor. So who knows how many items I'll be able to hold on the vendor, whether or not he'll have slots or a backpack. That was another thing that we used to do. We used to, when I would sell potions and stuff, we used to put bags in there with the potions, and the potions would be all lined up all nicely so that you could count them and everything. And so you just open it up, you could look, you could just hover your mouse all the way around. They'd all be all lined up nicely. Sometimes we'd spell things out with rocks or runes or whatever in the backpacks because, we had the ability to do that. So anyway, this just looks really cool. And if you haven't seen the game yet, there's a link to it in the description. The Kickstarter campaign ends, I think, April 7th. And so you have until then to get in on it. The cheapest tier is $33. That will get you a character in the game. And then it goes all the way up to like $10,000, which is really insane. But you know what? The $10,000 level sold out and they added another one. So, goodness, huh? Isn't that funny? Okay, well, anyway. So, thanks for joining me for another episode talking about Shroud of the Avatar. I can't wait, and there's many more episodes to come, so please do subscribe. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care. Well, now that you've made it this far, can I interest you in a few more videos? In the upper left, I get questions from people who are really exploring about who they are, what they should do, and, the other people around them. And in that video, I really try and explain how you can just be yourself. Don't worry about the BS that other people give you. Just be you and continue forward. In the upper right, you see all that lightning going off? Woohoo! I am a big fan of hazardous weather. and I filmed this while in Mississippi and set the lightning show to music, hard rock music. So check it out if you want some just creative stuff that I've done. At the bottom left is the mailbag. It's a brand new series that I've just started, and it's where I am reading the mail one by one that comes into my YouTube account. I'm not skipping anything, and I'm not leaving anything out, and just saying it as it is and what comes to my mind. And when we hit one that's really good, the video continues through that one, and we talk about that subject, and then that segment is over. So I've come across quite a few good things from that, and it's been very well received. You should check it out if you want to see what other viewers are saying. And in fact, if you want to send me anything, you can. It will get read. So, and then in the lower right, you know, sometimes we have to deal with really shitty people. And, you know, I explain some of my experiences. You know, I was a bus driver. I got assaulted several times on the bus. I owned a computer store and had abusive customers. And in fact, just the other day, I fired a customer because he was an asshole. So, you know, don't put up with that stuff. Just, you know, make sure that people are respectful of you and have compassion for those other people. So, anyway, enjoy the music on the way out. Make your selection. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.